Welcome to Stitches in Time, the podcast discussing Doctor Who the way it was meant to be watched, in chronological order, one clip at a time, starting at the Big Bang and ending at the heat death of the universe. I'm Becca, the Matrix archivist, and I spent the last 12 years of my life meticulously editing the entire televised Doctor Who universe into chronological order.
And I'm Mandy. I set my clocks forward an hour last week. That's time travel.
Uh-huh.
That's the same.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. Time is a construct, and now I get more sunlight when I go home. But also, this week has sucked.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Wait, just waking up.
Yeah, that's a lot. I like the other daylight savings time better.
Oh no, I hate that one because I basically just don't see the sun ever.
That's fair. No, I mean just the day of like setting the clock back, fall back. I get to sleep an extra hour or whatever.
Yeah, but
we should just have that every 6 months. It should just be fall back. It should just
just continue to fall back.
Yeah, until it's like, oh yeah, I know it's midnight, but it's lunchtime because the sun's out.
Yeah, but I feel like this puts me in a good setup to watch something about Doctor Who and watching the trials and tribulations of someone who travels through time, but also not anymore because now we're going to be watching it the correct way.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about what the Stitches in Time, how that came to be and why it exists and is correct?
I mean, I started watching Doctor Who. I mean, I started with Rose, but I started watching sometime during the David Tennant years, is when I became a fan. And then, mainly because of, I'm interested in, film history and stuff, I started watching the classic series.
Such a better reason than how I got into Doctor Who, which is I was on Tumblr, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So you gotta watch this if you want to understand the memes.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I think that's not a better way. It's an equally valid way.
I'm into film history. I'm into what is this Super Who lock everyone is yelling about.
Oh my gosh. So I started watching Classic Who, and I don't even know really why I started doing this, but I started making a spreadsheet, just keeping track of where they go in time and everything. I just kind of kept with it for longer than I should have. And then it became, I just had this idea in my head of wouldn't it be funny if I edited all of Doctor Who into chronological order?
Next question. What important things in your life were you avoiding by doing this instead?
Just about everything. I think, and I mean, still to this day, it's a great way of, not dealing with my, mental health issues or anything. So it became a thing just because I kept doing it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's how things get done. At the end of the day, it's just, you keep doing it.
Yeah.
You keep doing it, and then it happens, and then you die.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the chronology, that's the Stitches in Time of our life.
Yeah. Because life is lived in chronological order, so why can't we experience everything else in chronological order? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot more sense. I will say, as someone who, as mentioned, I got into Doctor Who during the early 2010s Tumblr. I was in college. Everyone was talking about this thing, so okay, I'm gonna start. I just put on New Who on Netflix, go through there. That was a much easier period to get in. Now it's you gotta go through 3 different apps in order to pick the Doctor Who that you want. Even Disney Plus, the new home of Doctor Who. A bunch of different shit you gotta click now to know which one's the first one. I'm just starting there, and it was I really have an appreciation for people who know Doctor Who, and they'll talk about it and like they'll just reference an episode and they're like, yeah, that happened in this episode. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. None of this stayed in my long-term memory. It's just
Amazing.
like I don't know the names of episodes. I know the doctor's name and
Wait, you know the name of you know the doctor's name? Oh my gosh. Nobody like, oh, breaking news on episode 1 of Stitches in Time, the podcast.
yeah, it's a Philip.
Oh wow. Yeah, see, I never would have guessed that. That's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like very basic information. None of it really stayed because I was watching it pretty passively. I
Mm-hmm.
What I say is that I grew up as an anime fan. I was like big into anime in middle school and high school. And then around college, I was kind of getting bored with the tropes of like how many times can this boy fall into this girl's titties? I was just getting a little tired. And so I was looking for other stuff. I found Doctor Who. I watched Doctor Who and I ran screaming back to anime.
Wow. That's fair. I
Yeah.
feel like there is a lot less falling into titties in Doctor Who than there is in anime, but
I've heard like Torchwood is a better place, but also I've tried to watch Torchwood. I tried recently because I was going to before we decided to do the Stitches in Time. I was personally going to rewatch all of at least new Doctor Who,
mm.
and my partner Ben made the suggestion of, oh, you should also take that as a chance to watch Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures because you haven't watched those. And I was like,
Ah.
yeah, sure. And then I got to the point that okay, I have to watch a season of Torchwood, and I am incapable of watching a season of Torchwood.
Oh my
That was a
gosh.
year ago.
Oh my gosh.
I am stuck on the same episode of Torchwood, and I'll try to put it up. It's the same time that I was trying to read the Chronicles of Narnia, and I always got stuck on the horse and his boy. The horse and his boy sucks ass. I have never finished it. I have never read the rest of the Chronicles of Narnia because I get stuck there.
Oh
And
wow.
Torchwood is my horse and his boy. So I don't know what's gonna happen with this podcast when we get to Torchwood.
Oh my gosh. It's gonna be interesting. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, which is an
Um
important thing that we should clarify here. It is not just mainline Doctor Who.
yeah, I am including in this chronology it's Classic Who, New Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, K9, the Australian series, which I know you're a big fan of K9, aren't you?
Yeah, it is controversial because my partner does not want to include it in the canon to the point that they have a shelf with all of Doctor Who on it and they did not want to put K9 on it. And they were very
Wow.
upset when I put Bad Samaritan up there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a good place for. So I've only seen new Doctor Who. I have not really watched old Doctor Who, and a big reason for that is on Tumblr. If you would try to ask someone, was like, okay, where should I start with like getting into the classic series? And it was
Mhm.
like, pick whatever. Problem is, again, I'm watching on Netflix. I don't know what whatever means. I don't
Yeah.
have a random number generator. They're like, pick what looks good. Like, I don't know what looks good yet. So then you start at the start of it, which also isn't the start of it because Netflix didn't have everything and
Oh
there's shit
wow.
that's lost and nobody has anything.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, here's some random black and white television.
Yeah.
Try, do your best.
I think also, like, you couldn't really start at the beginning because it wasn't the Stitches in Time edit. Every time I watch any TV show, the pilot of The Office, all right, so there's this office, but like, where did this universe come from? Is it this universe? Is it like, was it a Big Bang? Was it like a intelligent design kind of situation? Is this like a fantasy world? What's going on? So that's why I thought it was really important to start with the Big Bang, which is,
Yeah,
of
that's
course, Castrovalva Part 2. There's a 4-second clip about halfway through that depicts the Big Bang.
Yeah, and that is where we're starting today, but that's not where we actually started because before you watch a thing, you do have to learn about who made it. And we learned
True.
about who made all of it through uh, I think you keep saying it's like 10 minutes. It feels like it was 20 or 30 of just here's a bunch of British people. Here's
Yeah.
just a bunch of British people.
Yeah. Basically, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do everyone. I'm gonna credit everyone in the opening credits that was
And you
credited
do.
in opening credits of an episode or of something that's included.
Like
Um,
that's what the unions are for. You have to do it that way. You
yeah,
have to credit
exactly.
yeah, people need to be credited in it, particularly if they were in contributed to one episode from the 1970s and now you have mashed them together with everyone from the 80s and David Tennant and Kylie Minogue. Kylie
Mm-hmm.
Minogue is in it.
Kylie
I remember
Minogue's
her
there.
name
Um,
and
there are a lot of people who are credited in real time productions things, which are also included. That's like
yeah.
wartime and downtime. Probe is also in there, the Bill Baggs thing, but thankfully he didn't have any opening credits in any of the Probe videos, so or at least any of the ones I have, so they didn't get added.
I want to give props to Bern Gorman, a guy that I have seen a lot. I was a big Pacific Rim fan, so I definitely saw him and like read a lot of smut with him and the It's Always Sunny guy. I didn't know his name was Bern Gorman, and it's not Bern. It's Burn.
Yeah,
Though now I'm
I love
concerned. I
how
do
much
need.
that blew your mind when that happened. When you saw that, because I was
Like
sitting next to you when that happened.
that's not a human like if it was Bern, which is what I thought it was. Like I guess I'd only ever heard his name and I was like, yeah, short for Bernard or a Bernie or something. That's a
Oh,
name. It's with a U. It's set on what happened when he was born that his mother gave birth, looked at this baby and said, "Your name is Burn."
maybe he
Cause
wasn't.
that's what you did to me.
Maybe he wasn't born. Maybe he was just burned.
He was just burnt. He's like a phoenix. He
he,
was born. He was
yeah,
born from
he
the
has
ashes.
he is his own parents, and he just every generation just
I mean,
bursts into
speaking of
flames.
supernatural, wasn't that or speaking of Super Hulock, wasn't that like a supernatural thing? Didn't the mom catch fire? I feel like
Yeah,
maybe not giving birth to that. There is something that was like, oh, and the mom just catches fire when
yeah,
you are born.
yeah, something like that. Now I feel like I have to rewatch Supernatural. And then cut it into. Wait, should I add Supernatural and Sherlock into the Doctor Who chronology?
The full
So
Super Hulock timeline.
it is really funny how much, because of all of the like spin-offs and everything, we're starting at 13.8 billion BC, but then we make pretty big leaps to each of the next clips, and then like it really slows down. Well, it certainly really slows down in the 70s because of the time where John Pertwee's doctor couldn't travel anywhere, so he's just stuck on Earth.
Oh, I didn't know. So like are we just gonna have a lot of time in the 70s?
Yeah, well, there's gonna be a big chunk of time where we're just literally watching a bunch of John Pertwee stories, basically in the order that they aired, which is pretty cool.
Well, I
Um,
mean that means that I can kind of coincide because my mom was born in 1970, so I can just like
oh,
coincide with like,
perfect.
oh, here's what my mom was doing during this time.
She was fighting Zygons, and
Yeah. I mean, I think the answer is going to be like being 6.
sure. It takes a really long time to get through like 2007, 2008, because it's like, okay, we've got all of the present day Doctor Who, we've got all of the Torchwood and the Sarah Jane adventures happening. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. So, with the understanding that the present of Doctor Who
Hmm.
has spans a very long time, because Doctor Who has spanned a very long time,
Right.
is the majority of Doctor Who in the past, the present, or the future?
I think, let me look at my spreadsheet and find out.
So I guess
Um,
that's also a weird thing of like, if they were in the 70s and they make an episode about 2006,
yeah.
that
So they did that.
was their future.
There's a second Doctor story called The Enemy of the World, and it takes place in 2018, which I think is very funny. Um, but yeah, you know what? I'm gonna figure that out for next time.
Yeah,
But
we got to get these hard-hitting numbers.
yeah, I'm gonna guess most of it's in the future, only because so like a lot of the things, especially that like take place on alien planets or are just kind of like random little scenes aboard the TARDIS or whatever, they're in there as long as the TARDIS isn't traveling through time, because that's not part of the three-dimensional universe that we live in. But I use a random number generator to place those episodes in the chronology or those clips or whatever. And because they have established in the show that, like in Utopia, I think they say it's 100 trillion years in the future, at least, which is a lot more than the 13.8 billion years that there have been since the Big Bang, which we just know because science.
I
Um,
I'm glad that we're picking our scientists and we're not just going to be like, well, according to the Christian Bible, that happened like 6,000 years ago.
right, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's why it's so important to, to know, okay, is this a Big Bang universe? Is this a Christian Bible universe? Is this The Legend of
I
Zelda,
mean,
where it was like three
Will,
goddesses that made the whole thing? Like, what's going on?
I'll get into when we talk about the Big Bang about what kind of universe this is, I guess.
What kind of universe is this?
I mean, do we want to get into the our scene proper at the start?
I suppose so. Yeah,
Yeah, because
I don't have much else to say about the
yeah,
credits.
I do want to say that you did also include the title sequences for all of them. I was
Yes.
surprised to see that is it the seventh Doctor that has the longest? There's one of them that just
Yeah,
doesn't
the
stop.
seventh Doctor, and it like surprised me because it didn't strike me as a particularly long opening title sequence, like when I watched those episodes. But yeah, the seventh Doctor intro is longer than any of the, like, it's longer than the movie even, like, intro sequence, which that really surprised me.
Like it don't quit. It was like, okay, this is why y'all got canceled, because
Mhm.
y'all a little too up into yourselves of like, oh, we're not
Yeah.
actually going to have content in our episodes. We're just gonna have a really long intro sequence.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so
I
then
mean,
we finally
talk about long intro sequences. I mean, because then I also do all the spin-offs. And so, Torchwood Sarah Jane, Class, of course, is in there. K9.
K9 and
And
Company.
K9 and Company, which has an insanely long intro
It
sequence.
is an entire music video of a woman running and reading the newspaper and driving in a car and running
Yeah.
and running.
And they keep reusing the same footage too. It's not even like it's not even that they spent a whole lot of time like they have like 6 shots they got of Elizabeth Sladen and the canine dog, and they
With
just were
just
like
a zoom in. Because I don't even think K9, like, I don't think they put batteries in that one when they were filming it. Of like, we're
oh
just
yeah.
going to zoom in.
Oh yeah, it's just like sitting on like a stone wall and stuff. It's not moving, it's not doing anything. Liz Sladen's really carrying that show, which I am a little bit sad that it took so long for her to get a show called The Sarah Jane Adventures, because like
Yeah.
that should have been what K9 and Company was called.
She got second listing. She got the and company. It's like
It's a crime.
K9 and Sarah Jane wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. You could have put, I don't know. It's
Who I get this might be spoilers. This might be spoilers.
mhm.
But besides Sarah Jane, what is the company in K9 and Company?
There there's like one other person. I don't even remember
It's
who
just
it
two
is.
people. Are they in a company? Like, do they have an LLC?
No, they're not. It's basically a it's I mean, because it's only one episode, you know, it was supposed to be kind of a pilot for a new series or a spin-off series, but like nothing really happened with it. Yeah, I honestly my memory I haven't watched it in a really long time, so I don't even and
But we will.
Wikipedia is not helping me right now. But, yes, but we will get there once we hit
We'll get there when.
1981 ish.
Okay, so we finally get through all of our credits. We have established the major players in it, all the production people, and we
Mhm.
finally get to the beginning, the Big Bang. And when I agreed to be on this podcast, I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a rewatch podcast, but we're gonna watch Doctor Who in chronological order. I was like, okay, yeah, that seems like a fun premise. You just watch the episodes all randomly out of place. And then you were like, no, we're going to watch the scenes in their proper chronological order. And so, um, getting through the 57 hours of the credits, and then we have 4 seconds,
Mhm.
was something. We even had to like none of us were prepared because you had to pause at it, and I got a little bit of a preview of next week. But just four just 4 seconds. And I guess I didn't know how long the Big Bang would be. I thought like it's such a momentous time that I thought it would be
Right.
more. Also, I have to be honest, and this is probably on like it's totally on me. I know that I'm in like I know what kind of podcast I'm in. I know what kind of show I'm in. I was not expecting the TARDIS to be there. The Big Bang, according to this, is just the TARDIS whooshing around and there's some lights behind it. And that happens for 4 seconds. And that is the start of our universe.
Yes. So I take it that you have not seen Castrovalva, or at least not recently.
And, no, I have not seen Castrovalva. You have talked about. Well, no one has told me anything about Castrovalva. Everyone has said Castrovalva, and so I have some theories
I want to
about
hear
what
your
it.
theories before I tell you anything about what's actually going on in this
Okay,
episode.
so first I was initially kind of thinking like Castrovalva sounds like Castlevania, so this is like a Castlevania. This is just Castlevania. This is
Ooh.
like what is a man? A miserable pile of secrets. Like oh, that's like yeah, it sounds good. But then I started like okay, but Castrovalva, like what is the origin of these terms? And I've decided that this is a shortening of castration vulva. And
Ah.
it's the Castration Vulva Part 2, which is a prequel to the cinematic masterpiece Teeth.
Uh,
And
you're spot on.
I'm
It's
sure you
exactly that. You hit it. You got it. You got it in one.
yeah, it was all there, and I'm sure you're asking yourself, okay, well then why is the Big Bang there?
Mm.
And that's because well the Big Bang is the beginning, and so everything has a beginning, and that just seems like a good place to start. My actual question is like seeing our Big Bang, seeing the TARDIS whooshing around in a circle for 4 seconds while there's some lights behind it.
Mhm.
Where is Sheldon?
Um, math, science, history, unraveling the mystery. That should be our opening song for the podcast. We're for our listeners, we are recording this a couple months in advance just so we can get a few episodes in the can before we drop it. But
Yeah, I didn't.
it's
I set my clocks forward at the appropriate time. I don't just randomly do that.
you're just like, well, it's May. I guess I better stop resisting.
Yeah, it's actually St. Patty's Day, which is why I have green on.
Oh, cute. Oh, shoot. Oh, I'm wearing green leggings.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
For
You
a
gotta,
second,
you
I was
gotta
worried.
show the camera.
Yeah, I gotta show the camera for all our podcast listeners.
Yeah, I
But
think it was what year did Castrovalva come out?
so this was 1981. It
Okay,
aired,
1981.
I
So
believe.
is that a little like shocking that they would they would have a vulva on UK television, the BBC?
It would have shocked me. It would have shocked me today. Frankly.
Yeah. Though I'm also picturing that maybe it's just like a big cave that's called the Castrovalva. I feel
Oh.
like, again, I have not watched a lot of classic Doctor Who, but I
Hmm.
feel like they appreciate a big cave because
They
you
love
can
a
use
cave.
the same cave over and over and over again.
Yeah. They love a cave. They love a quarry.
Yeah, and
it's all a good time.
it just stays in like a kind of a metaphor of like
Hmm.
they're the train passing into the tunnel.
Right. Yeah. Um, so I did some research about just Castrovalva and kind of behind the scenes stuff. And without spoiling too much for you, I will tell you that I think the original title for the episode that was going to happen here was like Project Zeta Sigma, I believe it was called, which is, a meaningless nothing title. Not unlike Castrovalva, frankly. But
Yeah, there's some. I mean, I've already derived so much meaning
right.
from Castrovalva.
But apparently, the name Castrovalva, and this will make sense when we see other parts of this episode in a couple dozen episodes down the line. The name Castrovalva is actually comes from the title of an M.C. Escher painting
Oh.
called Castrovalva, and I'm realizing now that I have not looked at it, so I'm gonna just see if I can pull that up and
I gotta
take a
say,
look.
you whip out MC Escher, you're not beating the castration vulva vibes.
No, I mean, like your explanation is far superior to the actual explanation. I'll give you that.
No, I'm saying that there is no reason to believe that that isn't what MC Escher named his painting after.
Oh, that's fair. That's very fair. Okay, this is interesting. So,
Yeah, I gotta say I've pulled up the image, and if we manage to have the video release of this, we can put it somewhere up here.
yeah.
It's not really what like the stereotypical MC Escher.
Yeah,
If you
it's
really
not
think
like
about
what
it.
he's famous for. It's just a cliffside with a castle on top.
Yeah, there is. You can definitely see that it is the same guy of
Yeah, it's the
like
same
dealing
style.
with that perspective,
Yeah.
black and white, very very textural. I have not taken an art class in like a decade, so my ability to talk about art is gone. It's
Fair.
just like, yeah, it looked good. But there's not the same, like, I mean, obviously there's the whole like stairs and the weirdness that he has there, but even I'm thinking about the image where it's just like the orb and the reflection back, and how it's really based on like
Yeah.
that shift in perspective around
Yeah.
doing that reflection. And this has a bit of that, but it's not. It's just a regular landscape, and there is there's a tower. It seems vaguely ominous.
Yeah.
This is leading a bit into the Castlevania vibes.
Yeah, that's fair. The site I'm looking at seems to seems like a real place, Castrovalva, that he drew. Is that-
Oh.
I'm
Oh
gonna-
yeah, it depicts a place that he visited on a tour of Italy.
Oh wow.
And it's a village of Castrovalva.
Wow. It's very pretty, yeah. And there is, without spoiling it too much, it does kind of remind me of the main part of the episode. Like there is a big castle on top of a big
Yeah.
hillside.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just a place in the middle of Italy. This is
Amazing.
just a show about Italians. And where do Italians start? The Big Bang.
The Big Bang.
Big
Big Bang
Bang.
Castrovalva. I'll say that. So the reason the TARDIS is there in Castrovalva is because the Master has done some kind of technical wizardry to lock the TARDIS coordinates to the Big Bang. So most of the episode leading up to this 4-second shot, the TARDIS is like going back in time, and Tom Baker has just regenerated into Peter Davison, so he's got regeneration confusion, and so like
Peter Davison is the celery one, right?
Peter Davison is the celery one. That's correct.
Okay.
Basically, it's his companions trying to like avert disaster, and so the shot that's in the edit is actually reversed. I played it backwards. It's one of,
So
I
it was
think,
it was spinning the other way.
yeah, it was spinning the other way, and it was like all the stars were like sort of looked like they were collapsing down into one point.
Yeah.
Because that's the direction that the TARDIS was flying. But of course, in objective truth, the TARDIS is just going from the Big Bang to slightly after the Big Bang.
Okay, so the TARDIS was not the start, because it really looks like from that bit that the TARDIS is the inciting incident, and this maybe actually is the Christian Bible version of the start of the universe, but the Doctor is God. So I would imagine that Stephen Moffat wrote this.
That's amazing. I love that. This is written by Christopher H. Bidmead, who also wrote other classic episodes that we'll get to. We'll get there. Calm down, audience. We'll get there.
Bidmead.
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 It's a fun name to say. I'll give him that.
It's no Burn Gorman.
It's no. Look, we can't.
It's also the fact that his name is so it's like Psycho Gorman, and like that just sounds like you're the brother, like you're the cousin that shows up in the sequel.
Wait, huh? What?
Psycho Gorman?
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
How do I describe Psycho Gorman to you? It's just like two children, they resurrect this evil alien guy, and then stuff happens.
Oh,
It's a horror comedy from Canada.
amazing. So what you're saying is I should put this into the continuity of Doctor Who.
Yeah. Google says why to watch, funny, gruesome, and offbeat. Which that sounds like Doctor Who.
That, yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Oh my goodness. Burn Gorman.
Burn Gorman. Burn Gorman isn't even gonna be around, because
Yeah.
they don't time travel in Torchwood. That's like just alien stuff, right?
There's a little bit of time travel, but
There's a little bit of time travel.
yeah, but not much. I don't think well, you know what? I'm actually gonna look at the order in which they show up, and I'm gonna see where. But yeah, Burn Gorman doesn't appear until 1963, and even that
When he was born.
I don't want to spoil anything for you, so I'll just leave it there.
He's not even in the episode. It's just that we have to know that, like, yeah, that was when he was born.
We just got footage of a bunch of childbirth. And we just decided that no, it's actually it's Bern Gorman proper in 1963, which is of course the same year that Doctor Who originally premiered. So
Oh, so JFK is so he
yeah,
assassinates JFK is
he
what it
assassinates
sounds like.
JFK and then creates the television series Doctor Who,
Yeah.
so that he will have a career on its spin-off
No, he
in
was
the future.
trying my JFK conspiracy theory is that they shot JFK because they wanted Doctor Who to fail. Because it's like, oh, then nobody's paying
Oh.
attention to the episode. We're all gonna boot it and get it off the air, and then it failed.
It's an interesting theory. And you know what? We will
I'm totally right.
we will talk about the imminent failure of Doctor Who in episode 6 of this podcast. So,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so you said that the reason why we're at the Big Bang is because of the Master. Is the Master trying to castrate someone with the castration vulva?
I mean, he's got Adric prisoner in this
Okay.
thing,
It was like, and
so
I need your beautiful singing voice to remain.
I need you not to hit puberty ever. Look, that's as
I,
good a reason as any that
I really
that the
should have
master does
asked.
anything that the master does.
Yeah. I really should have asked what you wanted the age rating of this podcast to be.
I guess we're going with the explicit tag. I mean, it's which honestly, like, I feel like is probably okay because we are gonna be talking about like some Torchwood stuff that has some adult themes and some, you know, there's some dark stuff in here. So this maybe we should put a little disclaimer at the beginning.
Funny, gruesome, and offbeat.
Funny, gruesome, and offbeat. Stitches in time. Oh, I'm so happy that I get to do this podcast with you. It's gonna be such a dumb adventure.
It's gonna be a lot. Particularly again, we are 4 seconds in, and we have been talking for 45 minutes.
Wow. That's pretty good. I mean, I was a little bit worried, but we made it happen.
I know, so the Big Bang is the start of us all, but I do want to go like, are we in young Sheldon territory? Are we in regular Sheldon? When do we see old Sheldon?
I have to edit the Big Bang Theory into the chronology of Doctor Who. Gosh, this is gonna be a whole. I'm just gonna end up with the entirety of all television chronology in this.
Don't forget movies. You already got a movie in there.
I was amazed to learn this because I learned this at the same time that my partner Laser learned it. Was that Young Sheldon is not a multicam sitcom; it's a single cam sitcom.
Single cam.
So it's just
It is a drama.
it's like more dramatic, I guess. I don't know. Like we saw it because we were like in the waiting room at like an urgent care, and it was on the TV, but like it didn't have any subtitles or anything. So it just looked.
Are you
really
sure it was
dramatic.
Young Sheldon and not The Good Doctor? That shows like also about child with autism.
I mean, maybe it was Doogie Howser. I don't know. I just don't know.
Do you want to give any like preview or hint for the next episode?
Yes. So the next clip we're going to be looking at is 45 seconds from The Pandorica Opens.
Okay.
Which is the first of the two-parter
I've seen
episode,
that one.
and the second episode of that two-parter is called The Big Bang, which I think is really funny because it's not where the Big Bang happens. It's where
It was just a mistake that they made. It's like, oh, we'll get it later. Just the full episode title of it was The Big Bang Happened Previously Go back to watching the
Watch
Castrovalva
Castrovalva.
Part 2. We really should have named Castrovalva Part 2 The Big Bang, and we should have named this one Castrovalva Part 2, but we can't, unfortunately, like, production timelines, it kind of gets ahead of you. So we're fixing it in post. We're fixing it in post. This is still the episode of the title, by the way. Love you,
Yeah.
Mom.
And then
Bye.
they couldn't fit all of that onto the DVD menu, so they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have to let's just call it The Big Bang."
Big
Screw
Bang.
it. Yeah, so that's
But
gonna
I'm glad
be
that we're
next
we're
time.
here to fix that and correct that for them.
Yeah, exactly. That's the Stitches in Time mission. Is we're putting everything back in order so everything makes sense.
Yeah. And Mandy is here as well.
Mandy is here as well. So yeah, that's what's gonna be next time on Stitches in Time.
It's gonna be great. I'm definitely not regretting decisions in any way, shape, or form.
Thanks for listening to Stitches in Time. Music by Becca, the Matrix Archivist. Art by Mandy Okendo. Logo by Ben Padden. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky at Who's Stitched.
I like the evil laugh is just the sign off.
It's just that's my catchphrase. It's just an evil laugh.